Hello and welcome to the Farm Wolf channel. This video is kind of a reshoot. I went to edit the video and I noticed a lot of my footage had been erased. So this video where I start showing you what I did, it's actually going to start with me taking the tire off of the lawnmower. But this is some of the stuff I went over that my footage got deleted that I wanted to show you. This is the bead cheater that I used. It actually just clamps on to the rim. These jaws go in between the bead of the tire and the rim. And this clamp tightens down against the rim. You tighten this bolt down, it tightens the clamp down on the rim. Then you tighten that bolt down and it forces the jaws apart like that. And that's what pushes the bead off the rim. I just used a breaker bar and a socket. These are my tire spoons that I used. One end is flat and the other end has a curve to it. And I just got two of those that I used. The tire that I'm working on, I actually put a tube in it. It had a stick that went through the sidewall. I knew I couldn't patch it and get it successfully to hold because there's so much flex in the sidewall. But what I did, even though I was putting a tube in it, it had a hole in it. I went on ahead and put a patch on the inside anyway. And I know this is a radial tire patch and my tire was bias ply, but it's a lawnmower. So I've done this before on lawnmower tires, never had an issue with it. This is a die grinder that I used, which just has a wire brush. I use that to smooth down the inside of the tire. There's ribs on the inside of the tire. I smooth that pretty smooth so the patch would stick to it. I just wanted to show that I use the wire brush. A lot of people have actually a grinding, like a brass grinding wheel. I've always used the brush. It's all I've got. I've had really good luck with the brush working. And like I said, I used the radial tire patch. I used rubber cement, and then I used this stitcher, which when I put the rubber cement on, I put a light coat on. I put a spot of cement bigger than my patch. That way my patch is for sure going to be covering the glue. I wait till it gets dry. Then I peel this blue backing off. I put the patch on, push it down with my hand, and then the stitcher, I take it and I go over it like this in all directions. In the video, you'll see all that, but I just wanted to show this part because this is what got deleted, me showing the tools that I was going to use, so I wanted you to be able to see that. Alright, all the lug bolts are loose. Tire comes off pretty easily. Here you might be able to see that puncture a little better. This is what I plan on using to get the tire off the rim. This is a bead cheater, and then these are a couple tire spoons. The bead cheater, how it works is usually I have to tap this with the hammer to get these jaws in between the tire and the bead. And then you tighten this part right here with the bead cheater down. And this little thing here clamps against the rim and holds it tight. And then it usually pulls it in this direction. And when you tighten up the jaws, see if I can get that out of the way where you can see. But when you tighten it up, it starts pushing away. So this stays against the rim and that pushes your tire away from the rim. And that's what I'm going to use. I kind of bent it up a little bit, so hopefully I won't have a lot of trouble with that, but you'll see how it works. Alright, put the bead cheater in like so. See if I can probably smack it down a little bit before I tighten this up. Get that out of the way. Here we go. This is what the bead cheater looks like when it's tightened down. You can see the jaws in between. It's already starting to push it down a little ways, and I'll just tighten this up and you can see how it does. And there we go. I'll do the same thing with the other side. Now something, if you ever do this at home, something I always pay attention to, you don't want to put that right over the valve stem, even though this one, I'm going to probably cut that out anyway because I've got to put a tube in. But if you're just wanting to make a tire repair, pay attention where your valve stem is, because you don't want to push, and because right there on the inside you could damage that valve stem. Alright, now I'll just loosen this back up. And sometimes you have to draw the jaws back up to get it off, but I didn't have to on this one. And I'll do the other side. Alright, we'll do this other side now. See if I can get you a little better view here. Hear it break loose. Usually you can look at a tire like this, just push it around with your hand and work it on down. Now I'll take this off and I'll use my tire spoons to get the tire away from the rim so I can see what I'm working with. Alright, now I'm going to try to get this bead up over the rim. See what we can do here. I like to use the curved part of the tire spoons. I've found that it helps if you don't take a real wide bite, and what I mean by that is if I get the tire tool here, just come a little ways from it. You don't want to start here and come way over here, because it'll make it a little harder to get the tire broke over the rim. Which I might have a time with this. There we go. Usually at this point you can just pull them on up. I decided it's probably going to be best to try to take the tire all the way off, because trying to look in there with the tire on, I can't really see what's going on with it because this rim's just in the way. This takes a little patience. Here we go. The goal here, why I'm doing this grinding, is these little ridges right here. You want to try to get those smooth, but you don't want to get them so smooth that you go down to the cords. But the idea is to get them smooth so that your patch has a smooth surface to adhere to. So that is the purpose of why I'm grinding that down. Figured it's worth showing. I did wear safety glasses. I do recommend them for a situation like this. And now I'm going to apply my glue. I don't know if you can see down in there, but I try to cover more than the area, you know, a bigger area than what I'm going to patch. That way I'll for sure have glue all over it. I just kind of get it to where it looks thin and I leave it sit until it becomes tacky. This is a radial patch, but I've patched bias ply tires with this before, never had any problem. Just peel the backing off, check, make sure where my hole's at again, because sometimes you can't see it. And it really doesn't matter too much to me on this patch if it's radial or not, because I am putting a tube in this tire. So this patch is just to keep debris and stuff from re-entering the tire and puncturing my tube. Hopefully this will make it a little easier to see. I don't know if this is necessary or not, but I usually take that covering off. I'm going to remove this valve stem. You can do it however you want. I don't get enough pair of pliers or this tool that's made to take it out, so I just cut the end off. Now I will try to put the one side of the tire back on. I'm going to leave the valve stem side up, and I find I have pretty good luck with it if I just kind of slam it down. Then, since I'm kind of out of frame here, I'll just kind of work it back around with the tire spoons. Sometimes I've actually used vegetable oil and put on the bead of the tire, you know, around this part, and it kind of makes it go on a little easier. Sometimes I can take a hammer and smack the bead around on the inside here, and that'll make it fall on around. There we go. Something that I like to do, just to keep the tube, the valve stem, from falling down inside the tire when I'm trying to put this on, is I will put a valve fishing tool on the valve stem of the tire. That way, when I'm working this down in and around the tire, I don't have to worry about getting it all the way almost done and then my valve stem slip down inside the tire, because it's nothing more aggravating than to about have your tube installed and you're getting ready to put air in it and your valve stem falls down inside the tire. This, you know, it does what the name implies. It fishes your valve stem up through the tire. It's kind of helpful. I've enjoyed having these tools. They've helped me a lot. So, okay, I've got the tube down in there. I didn't want to bore you trying to show you what I was doing, but you can see how I pulled that tube on up. Or not the tube, the valve stem. The only advice I can give you when you're doing this, when you're putting the tube in, is be patient. Don't get in too big a hurry, because you don't want your tube to be all folded up, or when you air it up, it doesn't air up correctly. You don't want a lot of folds. And then this, you want to be careful too when you're putting your tire back on. I always try to make sure that the inner tube is not anywhere near the rim, because the last thing you want to do is pinch your brand new tube and then you're patching your tube. This is another thing, you're just going to have patience. I try to hold this down with my knees as I work it around. And there will become a point when it gets really tight, and it'll be hard to get on there. I'm hoping I can film all this for you to see. If I think it's taking too long, I'll shut the camera off and come back to it. But sometimes this is where 2 spoons come in handy. That way you can hold the bead with one, work it around with the other. I'm feeling my tube to make sure I don't have it pinched. So like I said, this is just a lot of patience. Sometimes when it gets to this point, here's where you can take a hammer and smack the bead around. And what I mean by smacking the bead, you can hit it right in here and it will start working that bead back onto the rim. I don't think I'm going to have to do that with this one. There we go. This is something I also like to do when I put a tire back on. I like to just kind of pick it up and smack it down. It kind of works the bead back around where it should be. Right now I'm pushing down. There was a little bit of tube caught in between the rim and the tire. I want to make sure that when I'm airing this up, I don't pinch the tube. And this is what I do when I air them up. I just try to hang on to the valve stem. I've also used like a pair of channel locks, vice grips to hold the valve stem when I'm airing it up. So make sure you don't have your fingers trapped in between the tire and the bead when you do this. I was checking the sides, make sure I didn't have the tube pinched, and I did not. Okay, my little boy's going to put the tire back on. He wants to do it, and I just wanted to show you this. If you ever take these off, some people don't know this. This tapered part of the lug nut goes towards the rim, and that helps line it up on everything. I have seen them where people have had the flat against the rim, and that's the incorrect way. My little boy got all the lug nuts tightened up, and we did the star pattern. We did top, bottom, left, right. That way it tightens it down on the rim evenly, or not the rim, but the hub. So wanted to tell you about that. And I think we're done here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope maybe this taught you that if you need to fix your lawnmower tire, you probably can. Maybe you learned some new things today. Maybe you didn't know a bead cheater existed. I didn't know a few years ago, and it's helped me out a lot. So hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.